Good evening, everybody, on a Tuesday night. This is October the 6th, 2020. This is our regular Tuesday night show. Welcome. And I'm coming on a little bit early. We normally start at 7 o'clock, but I had something I needed to talk personally with you guys about. Very important. You saw the little clip I just played of the wish making machine, and I have sold. In fact, it's just phenomenal how these keep selling. Everybody's having such great results from these wishing machines. And I want to share with you a couple of things here, real quick. So don't go away. I got a call today from a lady who bought a wishing machine recently, and she had something to share with me. So I had to get on here a little bit early and share this with you. And she wrote a review, and it's now on the front page of my website. And I'm calling it now the Wish Doctor, and that's DR, wishdr.com, the wishdr.com. And this lady who prefers to remain anonymous now has, she's front and center on the front page because her story was just fascinating as it could be. Screw it, I'm done. I had my wish machine for about 3 weeks. I was a bit frustrated because I did not understand why my original wish was not manifesting. My seasonal allergies were acting up, and I was just not in a good mood. Had errands to run, and nothing had been working right for the entire morning. I unplugged my machine. She's got the one which now all of mine has the Tesla coil on it. I was at my wit's end. With a flourish, I took off the original wish off the machine. I said out loud, screw it, I'm done. I threw down a $20 bill on the input plate, left the house to run my errands. Well, it turned out that I ended up winning $420 in the Georgia lottery online, plus an additional $120 that day. The first $100 came within an hour of my statement of screw it, I'm done. The rest of the money manifested within an additional 4 hours. I guess you can say that this is not bad for receiving over $500 in 5 hours. The wish making machine not only paid for itself, but I made a profit. Anonymous in Georgia, written today. Hello?
Hi, is this Kelsey Graham?
Yes, ma'am. 1 second, please. And I'll be right with you. I need to Okay, you guys couldn't have started without me. I had something happen right before here. We're already live. You're already going. You're already live. I was talking about my wishing machine, and then a lady from Alaska called about a wishing machine. And so, okay, now we've got an event coming up November 6th, 7th, and 8th, virtual. And I believe that we have someone that's going to join us here that whom I do not know. Okay. Jared, how are you doing?
Good. How are you?
Not bad. I do not know you, but I assume you should be here.
Yeah, I was invited to hang out.
So we were talking, and I told Susie to invite some of the presenters to join us tonight because we're excited about this virtual event that I've never participated in one like this. So it's going to be quite interesting. So, Jared, what do you do?
I read runes. Read runes, make them, live them. You know, they are part of me at this point.
Okay.
So, yeah, immersed myself in that world and practitioner of, beginning to follow northern shamanic kind of practices and save and moving in that direction.
Well, if you would, enlighten some of our listeners exactly what runes are. I'm not going to assume that everybody knows.
Fair enough.
You know?
Yeah, so the runes were an ancient alphabet based on phonetic sounds that were used by originally the Germans or Proto-Germanic people and moved into Scandinavia, Iceland, those areas, and were used mostly as an alphabet or a writing tool, but also have been shown in a lot of poetic sagas and historical documents to have a magical property to them as well, to call upon the spirit that rune is part of, to work with different elements. So for instance, Gabo it looks like an X. It's the rune of the gift and the gifting cycle. So it carries that energy with it and can be used in spell work that way, or divination, which became more popular in the 60s and 70s for rune work.
Wow. Okay. And I failed here, and let me correct that. I'm Kelsey. The guy that is next to me over here is Kevin Kane, and he is a collector of haunted dolls. His house is haunted items. So
that's awesome.
It's a good place to be on Halloween, you know?
Yeah.
And then the lady next to you is Catherine. And so we call ourselves Abnormal Alabama because once you get to know us, you know we're not normal. So
I love it.
Abnormal and proud of it. So anyway,
awesome.
Introductions out of the way, and now we're going to bring on. Don't go anywhere, Jared. We're just going to fill this room up. And Ellen, unmute your mic there. There you go. I don't know. Did you hear all our introductions there?
I came in a couple of minutes late, so I heard you introduce a couple of the people. I didn't hear. I don't think I heard yours.
Okay, I'm Kelsey, and this guy right here is Kevin Kane.
Nice to meet you all.
I'm just the mouth of the South.
Okay.
Kevin is a collector of haunted items, and him and I both are authors, by the way. Kevin has 11 books.
Oh, wow.
His website is called myhauntedDolls.com. And I've got a list of websites that fill an encyclopedia. But Abnormal Alabama is one. The book that I promote, because a lot of my books have to do with counseling and couples issues and that sort of stuff. But I wrote one that's also called Dating the Dead. And you can find out about that at datingthedead.com. And Jared got a kick out of that.
That's great.
And the wonderful thing about that book is I didn't have to use my imagination. I just found stories of people that were in relationships with ghosts and dead people. And this came about with me because years ago, I was inadvertently, without my permission, added to a crew of clergy that was called the Paranormal Clergy. And I would get calls from people all over the country that claimed they were possessed or infested with some kind of entities. And in 1 year, I got two interesting calls. One lady was in a relationship with, I always forget the guy's name, the singer for Queen.
Oh,
Freddie
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 Mercury.
Mercury.
Just
So
listening to Queen today.
this was after he was dead, and she wanted to pay. She was an entertainer, singer, songwriter. She wanted to pay me to come out to St. Louis and marry her to the ghost of Freddie Mercury in a rose garden.
Oh, wow.
So there's a lot more to that story, but so that was kind of new to me. I knew what a succubus and incubus was,
Yeah.
but that kind of thing was really, well, high blood pressure kind of stuff, you know? But the same year, I got a call from this lady out in Denver, Colorado, who was a florist, and she claimed that she was married to JFK Jr.
Hmm.
and that she had opened up a florist in what used to be a mortuary, and that there was a bully ghost of some sort there that chased her husband away, if you understand what I'm saying, and she wanted my help to get rid of the bully and get JFK Jr. back in her life.
Wow.
So that kind of opened my curiosity up, and I found out, of course, I knew from religion that the Mormons marry and for the dead in proxy, and they also baptize for the dead in proxy. So I knew some of this stuff, but I didn't know there were so many people that said that they were sleeping with ghosts, and one lady said that sex was so much better with a ghost that she'd never go back to a man again. So
Okay.
so
Did you ever connect with any of the ghosts yourself?
no, just when I look in the mirror, but a little bit more. You go to the website and learn more about it, but since you're letting me promote my book, I'll talk about it in another second.
Okay.
But there was more to it than that. There's one guy that fell in love with his car, and I found out the tailpipe of a car had more purposes than just exhaust.
Okay.
And then there's a lady that says that she had sex with Bigfoot, and I guess that there's other things big on Bigfoot besides his feet. So
Okay.
there's a lady that married a bridge, and all kind of interesting stuff. So it's not just dating the dead. It ended up being a lot of stories about very strange, interesting stuff. So there you go. That's my book. Kevin can take. Now, wait a minute. Let's say hi to Madam Z here. She's our fearless event organizer.
I run around like crazy.
So, since I'm doing that, Kevin, go ahead and promote your 11 books.
Well, I don't know what I got here, but let's see here.
You want to pull it up for you? There you go.
Well, there's that one. I was looking for the My Haunted Collection cover, but it's gone. It's gone. But there you go, Crimson the Blood Painting. That was the latest book I wrote. So it's perfect for Halloween. It's Halloween time now, people. So that's the best kind of horror story, is a nice spooky ghost story. And there it is, Crimson the Blood Painting, based on an actual haunted painting that came to me from Salem, Massachusetts. This is a novel, so it's a fictional story based on the actual true story. It's in paperback. Go to myhauntedDolls.com and get that, or you can get My Haunted Collection, which tells about several of the most haunted items in my collection. And there's several other books out there, but Crimson, if you don't like reading, you can listen to it. It's on audiobook, performed by Lynn Thomas, who does a wonderful job. Check that out, and check out Legends of Indian Narrows. That's the book about my childhood neighborhood where I grew up and first became interested in ghosts and ghost stories. And the audiobook version of that is narrated by me. So check that out. And also you can, if you go to myhauntedDolls.com, go to the links page and follow the link to my YouTube page. You can see the video EVPs and spirit box sessions I've done with a lot of the haunted dolls and items out there, including the one I did a week ago with the witch dolls, Anne and Alice. And that was a pretty good show there. So check that out.
So, Jared, you do runes. Do you have a website? How do you promote yourself?
So the website is actually being created as we speak. I'm kind of a fledgling business and starting to grow that. So right now it's mostly just through Facebook and Instagram.
Okay.
But the website should be active hopefully within the next few weeks. Hope it should be in time for the conference, which will be exciting.
Now, last but not least, Ellen,
Yeah.
what do you do?
So I make I'm a soap witch. I call myself a soap witch. I make vegan soaps, bath and body products, ritual candles, ritual oils, hand blended organic teas, and I do have a website. It's Imagine Soap and ImagineTeaATX.com. And I'm going to be a part of Madam Z's event that she's having next month. So I'm super excited about that.
Yeah, and this is very unique for us. Ellen, are you going to be presenting a speech of any sort?
I'm not going to be a presenter. I'm not presenting or speaking.
You're going to have a booth.
Going to be a vendor. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Jared, are you going to get up and talk about runes?
Yeah, I'll be speaking on 3 runes in particular, actually. Runes of death and transformation. So it'll be interesting how to work with those and accept them into your life.
Now, Z, you've already got a schedule up there of when we're each going to talk. Did you say it's about 45 minutes we each get, something like that?
About 45 minutes. And then we're going to have all kinds of like speakers and vendors and prizes and all kinds of cool stuff. So it's not going to be just us hanging out. We're going to be very interactive. We're going to have music. We're going to have raffle tickets. We're going to, for the VIP people, we get, the private seance with Bloody Mary. And I just added a vampire speaker. So he's going to be teaching about vampire magic.
I'm concerned about that because they don't have a reflection in a mirror.
Exactly. So it's coming together. I'm super excited about it. We're adding stuff daily to it. So it's happening.
Now, Kevin and I are going to give we're giving a joint presentation, Kevin, right? And Kevin's excited about standing up there with me during this.
And I think there's some people on the backstage, Kelsey, waiting to be let in. If you can let people in, I don't know how many you got.
No, whoa, wait a minute. That's down there. Okay. We've got, I've already got you, Madam Z. Geez. Okay, there we go. Lindsay Potter. Has that got everybody? Is that anybody else? Am I missing somebody?
That's all.
That's all. Okay. So, Lindsay, I don't know how much of this you're getting, but we were just letting everybody introduce themselves. This is kind of a teaser, if you will, so people know and see the faces of the people that they're going to enjoy really getting to know in November. So what do you do, Lindsay?
I call myself the mistress of sigil craft. I specialize in sigil magic and teaching that. And under pressure from my mentor, Madam Z, I'm also going to be talking about angel magic. I have been speaking with and working with angels since I was about 2. And angel work has really gotten kind of a bad rap, in my opinion, because of the light and love crowd. And
okay. Some of us don't know every lingo you're using. The what crowd?
Light and love.
Okay, what? So why would light and love not like angels? I don't understand that.
No, it's that a large group of people who believe in the everything's light, positive vibes only, darkness only exists if you let it, things like that, got a hold of angel work and took that mainstream. And I feel like they're leaving out a large portion of angel work. And
the question I've got with those group of people, have they been awake in 2020 at all?
Right.
No, she said.
So they've been awfully quiet.
You're going to be a presenter with Angel Work.
Yes.
Give a okay, great. And do you have? How do you promote yourself? Do you have a website? Do you? What do you do? What do you do with people that approach you? You do angel work. Do I come to you and say, I need to talk to an angel, or what do you do?
I actually have a lot of people come to me and they're like, I think, I think I have an angel. I think I just saw one. What do I do now? I do have a website. It's my name, lindsayrainwater.com.
Okay.
And I'm also on Facebook for the most part right now. Website is under construction, but it is working.
All right. Well, this is fantastic. We've got just a good crowd of people that's going to be with us in November.
Mhm.
And I'm excited to, even in the virtual world, get to know you guys. I just added on Caitlin. You need to unmute your mic. There you go. Okay, we got Caitlin. We got Jared up there that deals with runes. We got Lindsay that deals with angels. And I don't know if you want to know what I deal with or not, but Kevin deals with haunted dolls. His site is myhauntedDolls.com. What do you do? Yeah, Caitlin.
I'm kind of a mixed bag, but mostly spirit communications.
Spirit what?
Communications.
Okay. So like psychic or medium or?
Yeah, I just hate the term because most people connect it with God in the Bible, and I don't.
I understand. Well, the Christianity does not have a patent on these kind of things.
It just brings a miscommunication when people try to talk to me as a medium, and so I just feel like spirit work is what I use.
It's interesting that you brought that up because I just had a conversation with a lady today, and I can't remember exactly how it always happens this way. I'll be out in public, somebody I don't know, and ends up in one of these type of discussions. And she said something about, of course, I'm in Alabama. I don't have to tell you that she was a Christian. I mean, this is Alabama. That's why we call ourselves Abnormal Alabama. But she, whatever it was, she said something about our deceased families talking to us from heaven and whatnot. And my background is in the Bible. And I said, you know, the Bible says that you don't go to spirit world, that you remain dead until the resurrection. Oh, no, I've heard blah, blah, blah. I said, may I suggest you read your Bible? But
she said, once you take a breath from this earth, you take a breath on the other side.
That's what she
Something
said.
to that nature.
She said that she had heard that it was in the Bible. She claimed that your last breath here, your next breath would be in the other world, you know, in heaven. And I said, that's not in the Bible. But anyway, sorry, that just happened today, and you reminded me of it. So, but I don't condemn people for their beliefs and whatever. But I'm kind of picky if you're not genuine to your belief. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Be true to your belief, you know. I mean, my goodness. So, all right. So you're gonna do a presentation on communicating with the dead?
I think I'm actually just being a vendor.
Okay.
I think I signed up as.
You would
But
like
she's going to be offering spirit communication as in her booth, though.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
and then I'm a seamstress, so I have a lot of that stuff.
Yeah. She would like my book, Dating the Dead.
Yep.
You learn about it by going to datingthedead.com.
Okay.
Okay. I'm Kelsey. This is Kevin right over there. That's Catherine next to him. There's Jared, who likes to play with runes or stones or whatever. Lindsay's right
Did you
next
say
to
brooms or rooms?
Runes. 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 Lindsay's not too far removed from Caitlin. She deals with angels.
That's like my bestie here. So
There you go.
Okay, I have a sample that will come in on us.
Madam Z kind of does a little bit of everything, plus organized events. And Gosh, Ellen, I done forgot what you do.
I do like
So-
her flag.
I am the soap witch. I make soaps, vegan soaps, bath and body products, ritual candles, ritual
You
oils.
make us smell good.
Yeah. And it's very important to wash your hands right now.
No worries. Caitlin, do you have a website or a Facebook page? How do you connect?
So right now I'm kind of moving everything. I was on Etsy and Facebook, and I'm kind of moving everything to Facebook because Etsy's a joke.
Yeah. Okay. And how do I find you, or how do people find you on Facebook?
So I'm under the Sage Witch.
The what?
I put it in the chat. There you go.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. And then for like my ritual aprons and my tarot bags and things like that, I'm under Cat Creations. And I'm trying to find a way to just put them all in one thing.
So individually, I want to ask you, and I'm just going to go in line with how you are on the screen, so don't be offended. Jared, I'm going to start with you.
All right.
We all know what a wonderful year this has been, 2020. A lot of people have been under a lot of stress, that sort of thing. Have you had a lot more people reach out to you seeking some kind of anything?
I would probably people at work just needing me for something or other, but no, a lot of this has been a huge spiritual awakening
Okay.
for myself. Spent a lot more time with the family. Really was able to kind of sit down and formulate the business that I'm working on developing right now with crafting runes. And I just made a public announcement on Facebook and Instagram yesterday or 2 days ago that I'm starting to do readings for people now. Before it was just kind of closed knit, focused more on family, read for myself sort of thing. And I've been called and it's time and make that happen. So I'm excited to be offering those services finally.
This is great because this event is perfect timing for you, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Caitlin, you communicate with the dead, right? So with everything, this wonderful positive year that we've lived in, have you had more people approach you because of the pain and suffering and losses they've had and anxiety?
I've had more people contact me. I think it's more because of their own self-isolation. They want a different way to connect because they can't connect with the people around them.
Right.
But I have definitely had more people contact me.
So basically, we've got a lot more time to be introspective and lonely, and we think about people we've lost and that sort of thing. Lindsay, a lot of people reaching out to angels because they're giving up on humans.
I have noticed a lot more people asking about it. I honestly took a massive hiatus from angel work for a while, partially because of some massive upheavals that happened in the mainstream angel work community. I wasn't really sure what to do with it, so I walked away and was really focusing on sigils. And honestly, my patron archangel is getting very, very demanding. I work with Azrael, who is the angel of death. And with everything going on right now, there's this sudden interest in death and transformation and how do we smooth things over, because like everyone's like, this year has been absolutely awful. What do we do? How do we take this in stride? Because everything's changing. It's like a type of mini death of everything that we've known. It has to be reshaped. So I have actually had a lot of people like suddenly asking me, what are your guides saying about this? What are your angels saying about this? And so
yeah. Well, I tell you, and this is what I've tried to promote in my little world, is that this is a perfect time for change. And I don't know how many times, like Jared, he's going through a change here. But how many times have we heard, or maybe ourselves, we've said, man, I wish I could just wipe the slate clean and start all over. And it's like 2020 has been the perfect time because a lot of us had no choice because the slate got wiped clean in spite of what we wanted. So it opened up a door of opportunity, as Jared can express, I'm sure, and for myself. In the last short time, I have become a wishing machine guru. And I don't know if you've heard about a wishing machine or not. And this has changed my world. And a few months ago, if you'd said anything to me about a wishing machine, I would say, what the hell are you talking about? And now I've shipped wishing machines. I hand build them myself, and I'm shipping them to Germany and all across the country. And, you know, and I've had no marketing involved in it. It just happened. So now I call myself, and I know that some people call themselves witches, you know, like the witch doctor. Mine is the wish doctor. So, but I got, and I'll share this real quick if y'all don't mind, because I got this just today from a lady in Georgia that bought one of my wishing machines. And let's see what she said. It's just phenomenal. These people blow my mind. She says, screw it, I'm done. I had my wish machine for about 3 weeks. I was a bit frustrated because I did not understand why my original wish was not manifesting. My seasonal allergies were acting up, and I was just not in a good mood. I had errands to run, and nothing had been working right for the entire morning. I unplugged my machine. I was at my wit's end, and with a flourish, I took the original wish off the plate. I said out loud, screw it, I'm done, and threw down a $20 bill on the input plate and left the house to run errands. Bottom line is, within 5 hours, she had won Georgia Lottery online, $420, and then another $120 came from somewhere else. So within 5 hours, she not only recovered the money that she spent on the wishing machine, but she made a profit.
I think I need one of those.
So if you want to know, you can go. The website has 2 domains. One is thewishDoctor.com, and when I'm giving out web addresses, Caitlin gave me her how to find her on Facebook, right? Cats Creations, both with a K. Cats Creations and apostrophe S, and then the Sage Witch Pagan Shop, and that's where you can find Caitlin. Of course, she's going to have her little booth virtually on the 6th, 7th, and 8th, right there. Kevin, you and I are going to talk about something a little bit different that ties in maybe a little bit more with Caitlin than these other guys. There's a lot of people that got into ghost hunting and paranormal research. And Kevin and I are going to give a little presentation on, number one, how to get into that inexpensively and not have to buy all these fancy gadgets. And also probably a little input on, you know, to use your brain extensively when you're doing this kind of stuff. And Kevin does a lot of EVP work. Does anybody know what EVP spirit box work is?
Mm-hmm.
And if you go to his YouTube channel, he puts out the work he does. And I mean, some of this stuff is pretty phenomenal. I haven't had the success with it that he's had, but some of it is right on point. Catherine, you haven't said anything. What do you do besides sit there? I put her on the spot.
I keep you straight,
That's
which
impossible.
is a full-time job.
Rowan Wolf.
I do
of the
write.
Ruins
I do have
on
several
Facebook.
books. He won't even let me finish.
Yeah. So that's Jared. He just gave me his information. That Rowan Wolf of the Ruins on Runes, not Ruins, Runes on Facebook. Rowan Wolf Rune Craft. So let me, Jared, you mentioned something. Are you making runes to sell? Is that part of what you're doing?
Yeah, that's definitely part of it.
So
Are you sanding a set down right now? Cut last night.
It's okay. So that's what they can look forward to, and you'll be selling those at this event. What about instructions? Do you give instruction on it?
So you do get a little sheet that with every set, depending on which one you order, whether it's the Elder Futhark or Anglo-Saxon Futhark. One of Elder is 24 runes, 25. The Anglo-Saxon is 33. So depending on which one you get, of course, determines which sheet goes along with it. And then down the road, I'll be offering tutorials, probably like Facebook or like maybe YouTube videos that are posted on there. For a small fee, you get access to that. So hasn't happened yet, but soon enough.
Caitlin, do you give your gift, communicating with the dead? You don't like to use the word medium or psychic, but communicating with the dead, is that just basically what we can go with on that? Was that a natural thing? Did you have to develop that at any level? How did that?
It was a natural thing. I have now developed it to where I can control it. So it actually started as a kid, and I would get, and it came through as dreams. It wasn't until I was about 10 when my great grandma died that I realized that it was the dead speaking to me and not me just having crazy vivid dreams. But now I have learned how to hone in on it so that I can talk to them when I want to instead of them just coming into my dreams and messing with my life.
So let me get this straight. Do you audibly hear voices, or this? You said dreams. Do you?
Yeah.
Dreams?
So it was originally dreams. Now I do hear audibly hear voices. I actually also work with spirit boards a lot, because that's the easiest way, in my opinion, to communicate, because they don't always want to communicate audibly, or they don't know how to communicate audibly to our plane of existence. So the spirit boards, talking boards, are the easiest way of communication for them.
So like a Ouija board. So do you do seances?
Yep.
Okay. I like seances. I do seance, and it's kind of a performance art in a way.
Mm-hmm.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The way you set it up. Kevin does not like Ouija boards. He's watched too many movies.
I've known some people that probably misuse them and open the door up to something.
Yep. It happens.
It's outside of my comfort zone. So
I create Ouija boards.
Nice.
Yes. Yeah.
He asked what I did. I do create Ouija boards.
So you make
boards.
Mm-hmm.
I do.
Yeah,
Yes, ma'am.
she's got some at an oddity shop here in Birmingham as well. And that is Ellen's. Is that yours, Ellen?
Yeah, I just dropped Ellen's. I'm trying to drop everybody's links, so it's a little bit easier.
Yeah, I'm trying to grab them and get them to scroll here. Just right here. Okay, so now also, you're not the only one, Caitlin, that has this dream type thing. Catherine does that one too. She has people that come to her like within 24 hours to 72 hours before they either have some great trauma or die. Is a common thing for her. So it's like, okay, I don't know if I want to hear all that or not, but so did yours started out, Caitlin, in dreams?
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting. And then how did you learn to control it? How did you learn?
Just a lot of practice. Once I realized what it was, being able and realizing that I can place spirit barriers with the dead, that's kind of just where it started. So really, once I figured out that you can place a barrier, and when I communicated back, I would just work on that in a little practice, just like with everything else.
Was it scary to you to begin with? Were you afraid of it to begin with?
Kind of, just because the dreams that I was having, a lot of them were, I don't want to say they're death scenes because they weren't, but I was getting like the traumatic dreams, the traumatic things from their lives. And so that could be scary for me, just
Mhm.
because it's a little messed up being, 10 years old and getting these traumatic dreams that you don't understand. And I do sometimes still get those, especially if I've got somebody who's like, hey, I need to talk to this person who passed, and I end up getting something that happened to them in their life.
So how do you deal, and I've thought about this because I've done a lot of counseling with people, and when you've done a lot of counseling, you get intuitive, if you know what I'm saying. When you're dealing with people in a very intimate situation like that, you begin to get intuitive to where you feel like you're psychic.
Right.
Because things, it just naturally, it's like you can read it. And I'm not even going to suggest that I'm psychic or anything, but it kind of freaks you out because how I'm trying to get everybody up here, how accurate you can be. But there are sometimes that you've got to really be careful how much information you indulge, because it can be, I put it this way, years ago, the internet was kind of new, and there was a girl that approached me that had never known her mother. Her mother and dad got separated, split when she were too young to even know her mother. And she sought out my assistance to help see if I could help find her mother. And I'll tell you, if you're trying to track people down, women are the hardest because they get married, change their name. And if you don't have a social security number, that can be, so I didn't have much information to go with. Bottom line is, believe it or not, I found her mother. I told her, I said, your mother may not want to know you. You see what I'm saying? So I would assume in the spirit world, you die, you're still you, are you not? I mean, it's not all of a sudden you just say, ooh, I'm a ghost, so I'm going to be a nice person. I mean, do you carry your same personality with you? And if so, if you were kind of a not nice person in the flesh and blood, are you going to be kind of not a nice ghost?
I mean, we were just talking about this in Susie's group before we got on here. Like, my grandfather was not a nice person in real life, and he has tried to come through to me since he's passed, and he's still a dick.
Okay.
Like, so he's not welcome in my house because he just can't be nice.
So you shut the door on him when he was alive, and it didn't change when he was dead. That's my point exactly.
Yeah.
So if you found somebody and it's like somebody approaches you, do you question them about their relationship with this person? Do you try to?
Sometimes, because sometimes I don't like to do it for people who are trying to connect with somebody and it's still a very sensitive area. It's still fresh.
Right.
Because it actually leaves them in more pain half the time, and I don't like to do that. So I do like to interview them, see what I'm getting into, see if they're actually ready to talk to this person and things like that, because I think it helps with the session and helps me to know if they are actually ready to talk to who they want to talk to.
Now, I want to flip over to Ellen now. I'm trying to get everybody involved on their subject here. Ellen, you're dealing with products that cleanse the body.
Right.
And a lot of it, I guess, you also deal with aromas.
Right, exactly.
Okay.
Aromatherapy, right.
So in aromatherapy, which I'm not as well versed in as you, but I have a basic knowledge of what you're dealing with.
Mm-hmm.
That is cleansing your soul to a point.
Right.
So how do you suggest for different individuals, different aromas that they should be tuned into? Do you kind of get to know them a little bit and say, oh, you should have this smell. Right now you stink. And
Well, I've never told anyone they stink.
I know. Yeah.
Um,
I
So
have. That's why I
you-
don't sell soap. So
right. You have to get to know the person, what they like, and what fragrances they enjoy. Like you can't suggest that someone use a floral if they just detest flowery smells, or patchouli for grounding if someone just cannot stand the smell of patchouli, because you have to get to know what they like and then go from there. I also make ritual soaps, like cleansing soaps with different fragrances like rosemary and sage and Palo Santo. So it's a soap that you could use for a ritual cleansing before you would do a ritual.
Mhm.
Also a protection soap. If you were going to go out to a graveyard and you wanted to cleanse yourself when you returned,
Mhm.
you could use a cleansing soap. So I make intentional soaps as well as just fun, happy soaps as well. I also make organic hand blended teas, and I've had some requests for teas for anxiety or teas to help sleep and things like that. So
Mhm.
it's more than just a little bit of soap, and it's more than just a fun soap, but aromatherapy is definitely a big part of what I do because fragrance is very important,
Right.
especially if you have a something that you want to deal with.
Well, I know a lot of times in paranormal, ghost hunting, that sort of thing, people that say that their deceased grandfather or mate or whomever has visited them, one of the first things they'll say is, I know it was them because they smoked a cigar and I smelled the cigar,
Yeah,
or she wore a certain perfume and I smelled that perfume.
right.
Is that something that you tune into to make sure you're not giving them a trigger mechanism?
Yeah, definitely. If someone told me that a specific smell reminded them, now, if they said a specific smell reminds me of my deceased grandfather and I just love the way he smelled, I definitely want to replicate that.
Yeah,
For them,
yeah.
if that was something that brought them joy. But if they said, oh, my deceased great aunt was a total bitch and she always smelled like roses, I definitely never want to give them anything that smelled like roses.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, the curious question. Now, Lindsay, the angel lady, what you do is kind of somewhat similar to what Caitlin does, but not totally. You're dealing with another entity that's not of this earth. The only difference is the ones that Caitlin deals with were at one time of this earth. Angels were never flesh and blood. They've always been angels. Is that correct? From your understanding? Yeah. Okay.
From my
So
understanding,
you're dealing
yes.
there. What are angels and ghosts, as they call them? What do you call them, Caitlin? Do you call them ghosts or what? Dead people?
Spirit.
Spirit. Okay. So are angels and spirits pretty much the same entity? Once they get over there, are they all together, or does one of them live on one side of the railroad tracks, and the other live on the other side?
Well, I mean, if we want to go there,
Is there a class distinction between angels and spirits that, Okay.
yes. The way that I explained it to someone once, actually a few times, and I don't want to make it sound elitist, like this. It's where you start like, I hate talking about vibration in that way because people think that some vibrations are better than others. But like for me, I have only recently in my life had any mediumship skills whatsoever. And they come in very randomly and always scare the ever-loving crap out of me because I'm like, what was that? Why was there a ghost talking to me? And not a ghost. I have this weird vibration skip, as I think of it, because I feel like you have humans and we're on a certain level. And you have people who have died but are still earthbound, and they vibrate at a certain different level. That's why only certain people can see them. Like Caitlin can perceive them because somehow, number one, she's just automatically attuned to them, I guess. And then she spent a bunch of time cultivating that. Then, and this is just my experience, and other people may not feel this way, but I feel like people who have died and have like passed on other side of the veil have a completely different vibration. And then you have angels who have this completely other vibration. It's kind of like tuning into different radio stations. It doesn't mean that like one radio station is better than another, because people start to think that I'm saying like, oh, angels are so amazing and they're up here and I can talk to them. I'm like, no, that's not it. Let's talk about it like radio stations. Like for certain people in certain places, certain stations are going to come in stronger.
So
I feel like,
go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was just going to say, I feel like I somehow can tune into the ghost station, like Earthbound Spirit station, and I'm very good at tuning into the angel station for whatever reason.
Okay, so I thought I heard you right. What you're saying is that even though you deal with angels, it's not like you don't get communication from spirits, from ghosts.
Correct.
So you get both, but your focus is on the angels.
Business wise, yes. It took me a long time to realize, I think, that what was happening was ghosts were coming through kind of randomly and talking to me, because I'm like, I don't even know what that is. But I was raised Christian. Yeah. So there was a lot of repression of information. Put it that way, even though I will say my parents were like super supportive, but my mom was very scared of me learning more about this because she knew I was odd. So yeah, that's how I think of it. It's radio stations. Different entities have different vibrations that different people can tune into really well.
So Caitlin kind of explained her background as to how this came. It happened to her at a very early age and mostly in dreams. How did your communication with angels, your relationship? That's one question. I got another one to follow up with, but was yours something that happened early, or did you say, I want to talk to angels? Angels, help me, or what?
Hang on. I'm so sorry. The sunset. I have no light.
I didn't mean to take you away.
Apparently my first experience with them, I don't even remember. My mom actually has told me, she's like, we were driving, you were about 2 years old in your car seat, and I turned back and you were watching something out the car window very intently, and I said, what you looking at? And you just matter-of-factly said an angel. And she's like, what weirded me out was that we were Christian, but we didn't really talk about angels. That was not a big part of our belief system. So she's like, I wasn't even really sure where you got this idea, and I certainly wasn't going to argue with you. And looking back over my life, I realized like I had an imaginary friend, and some people look back and they're like, I had an imaginary friend that was a ghost. Mine was, I had an imaginary friend that I'm pretty sure was actually my guardian angel, because my imaginary friend had more sense than I did. Which seems like it would be hard. Like, I'm a little kid and somehow I've created someone that is more logical and has a better head on their shoulders than I do. So basically I just never switched it off. I also saw demons. I perceived very, very dark entities as well who enjoyed tormenting me in my youth. And
so you never really gave it thought. It was just part of who you were. That's what I'm hearing.
Yes,
like
which
grew
causes
up with it, and it wasn't like I need to get a book on talking to angels.
No, that actually came later, because somebody said something like, you have to do what you're good at. Do what you're good at. And I'm like, the only thing I'm good at is writing and talking to angels. Like, what do you want me to do here? And they were like, why don't you turn that into a business? And I'm like, that's dumb.
So do you do this full time now?
I am trying to do this full time. I am.
Oh, hopefully, thanks to Madam Z, you can be, catalyst of full-time occupations, guys. One more question for Lindsay. Do these angels identify themselves with names?
Yes. That's one of the weirdest things I've encountered with angel work, is that they're non-denominational. They don't care who you are. They don't care if you grew up Christian or Muslim, but to have an understanding of them, you kind of have to come at it from a Judeo-Christian background, because otherwise there's no way to explain them. So it's a little like, I'm not sure whether they gave us these names, Azrael, Gabriel, if they delivered those to us and we ran and someone did manage to grab them and run with them, or if we've just given them these monikers and at this point they're like, fine, cool. Like, we'll just roll with that so that I don't confuse you.
Well, different people have different views on this. I would suggest, given my background, that we gave them the names. Okay, that they didn't come up and say, "Hey, I'm Bob the Angel."
Right.
You know, first of all, through the Abrahamic religions, which also includes Muslims, they all have that foundation. But we labeled it that going back way in time. You know, Michael the Archangel and so forth. And I don't see a problem with that. You know, we have labels for everything. A lot of Christians don't realize that if you were in the 2,000 years ago, in the first century, and you went looking for Jesus, you wouldn't find him because there was no Jesus. That wasn't his name. You know, that's an English name we put on him in our translations. But if you had walked in as an English-speaking person saying, "I'm back in time. There's my DeLorean. I want to talk to Jesus." You know, and they would look at you like, huh? So they wouldn't have recognized that name. I'm not saying Jesus didn't exist. I'm simply saying they would not recognize that name. So we have identified in English, we do that. And in other languages, they do the same thing. It just comes out differently. So Caitlin, on Ghost, you're dealing with dead people. So I have to assume for certain that you are getting names and background. How detailed information can you get from these spirits?
It really depends on the spirit and how much they want to tell you. Because sometimes I can get just the first name, and sometimes they'll be like, "Yeah, I'm Jeffrey Smith, and I lived here, and I was born at this time," and you know they're excited, and so they'll just like divulge everything. You're like trying to get to a point here, but sometimes they're just like, "Yeah, hey, I'm Joe," and it's like, "Yeah." Until you actually ask a question. And so it just depends on who you're talking to. Probably the same with actual people.
So just like here, you meet people, and some people are very talkative, give you a lot of personal information. Some people are very private and don't.
Mm-hmm.
So Jared, back up to you, brother.
Sure.
All right. So you're dealing with runes. We've got a lady that's going to be joining us. She's not here tonight. And she deals with throwing bones, if you're familiar with that. Very talented with it. I knew about bone throwing, but I didn't know anybody in the 21st century was still throwing bones. She's written a very good book about that, and I don't know if you talked to her, but she's a very interesting lady. And what you do kind of connects, except you're using a rune instead of bones. Yeah. So
yeah, absolutely.
We're dealing with a lady over here that deals with angels. We're dealing with another lady that deals with dead people. In runes, the question I've got, is there some kind of a spirit guidance to these runes that's coming from another realm, that when you deal with the runes that they're being led through some, you know where I'm going with that?
Yeah, I do. And I think it was probably within the past year and a half where I kind of came into that. I've been working with the runes, walking with them for almost 30 years. And I'd go back and forth, you know, I'd take some time off here and there and come back to it, but they were always show up and I'm like, oh, I guess I should follow that again. And one of the things I always had problems with was doing castings, doing readings, anything like that, because I was trying too hard to read at face value. You know, I'd pull, you know, Fehu and, you know, immediately I'm like, oh, that's, you know, wealth and cattle. That's, you know, that's what that means. And it's not necessarily that. You actually have to listen to them. And I really feel that they are a spirit, and that rune itself is its name. And, you know, Odin was the one that gave us the runes. He made a sacrifice of himself to himself by hanging from the World Tree for 9 days.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And, you know, he plucked the runes that the Norns or Fates would carve in the roots of Yggdrasil to manifest. And that's what the runes are about, is a tool for manifesting and communicating with them to work with their energies and to understand how they're working between worlds. And that's one of the areas that I finally have started to understand and work with more effectively, is that blending of worlds, where you're not just pulling the runes and throwing them and looking at it and say, oh, that's this, that's this, that's this. There is a connection between them. There's a story that they're trying to tell and relay. And, it's something they're trying to convey and work with, whether it's, a personal issue that you're dealing with, if you're reading for yourself, or helping someone else. And at times they won't answer at all. They're very direct. There's not a whole lot of fluff that comes along with them, which is kind of nice. So they get their message across and move on.
They're drama free.
Yeah. They can be a little on the humorous side. I had an experience not too long ago where Raido, which is a rune of journey or a wagon sort of thing, kept coming up, and I was getting a couple other runes in there that were not looked favorably upon by some people. They can be disparage runes. And I was like, oh, I'm going to go through this crazy change or whatever, and this is happening. I don't feel like dealing with it. And then something clicked in my head, and I was like, or there's something wrong with my car. Turned out I needed a new car battery. So, it's little things like that where you, just have to listen and listen correctly. And sometimes you can't look too far into it. Sometimes it really is a face value thing. And other times it's very, it can be direct, but, almost like a convoluted directness.
So as you're talking, I'm reminded of something that I learned through my life dealing with anything that we could call a spiritual or paranormal world. And I will start with Kevin, but I want to get your opinion on this. What I found is that you can overthink what you're doing, and that you just have to allow things. And Kevin comes from a little bit different background. Well, not background, but where he is today on belief systems. He's still a very devout Christian. That doesn't keep him from dealing with haunted dolls and such, even though there are some denominations that would frown strongly about what he does. But Kevin, when you're dealing with your dolls, do you get better results if you don't overthink what you're doing than if you're just relaxed? Does that make any difference at all in what you do?
Yeah, just letting it happen. I mean, if I push and push, do this, do that, I feel like I'm pushing them. It's kind of like I put myself in their shoes as a person. Somebody's coming and they do this, do that. I'm like, whoa, back off, or I punch you in the nose or something. That's the way I kind of look at it with the spirits. So I may ask, can you make your presence known or so forth? But then I let them, I just kind of lay back, let them be themselves. Maybe even, in fact, with my paranormal team and our investigations, we've had better results just carrying on a conversation with each other and letting the ghost kind of chime, or spirit kind of chime in, maybe even throwing a little question their way during that conversation, and not poking or prodding them into, doing a sideshow for, sideshow performance for us. It'd be cool to have something happen. It's like you pressure them, the more you do, the less they're going to want to react to you. They're just going to go away. That's been my experience with it. The other side of overthinking is when you go into something expecting it, even the slightest little drop, I dropped this pencil, or, it's dropped behind me. Oh, that clacking was a ghost, I jumped straight through the paranormal. Well, relax, chillax, sit back a second. First, let's turn around and look and see what was that noise, what created that noise. And let's make sure, especially when you're trying to help a homeowner, a client, don't scare the hell out of them, jump into Zach Bagans mode. Relax, and let's find out what that is, because there could be a natural cause. Hey, look, I found a pencil on the floor, and look at a cup tipped over on the counter. So, did a ghost do it? I don't know. But it just, it's better to just relax.
I know that I've been, on some investigations, some ghost hunting things, and there's more hours of nothing happening than something happening. Jared, when you're dealing with the runes, does it work better? And I know you're kind of new, okay, but your experience with it, is it something that flows better if you just let it happen and not try to?
Yeah, and it also helps for me in particular to really put myself in that space between worlds, without going too far over, because then that's a whole nother ballpark.
Right.
But to grab a set at work, or coming from work or something like that, and just throwing or pulling a rune without actually taking a little bit of time to kind of ground myself and open up that connection between realms, you definitely lose a lot of what could be there. You can get very different answers, and they become, it just goes all over the place versus staying focused and directed where it needs to be. So
yeah.
Oh no, go ahead.
No, go ahead and finish.
I think that was it, to be honest with you. I had a thought and it fleeted, and now it's gone. So we're good.
We got another hour, so think of the thought.
Hey, Kevin.
Uh-huh.
So you'll like this. So at the event, we are bringing in Bloody Mary. She's a famous voodoo priestess, and she has a big shop down there and does haunted paranormal tours.
Down in New Orleans.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know about her.
Yeah. She has a haunted object museum and a haunted doll museum.
Did you see Kevin's eyes?
I know. And she
I think I've heard that before. We have some mutual friends. I think I did hear that before, but yeah,
she has
I
some.
kind of forgot that. That's cool. I mean,
Isn't she right down the French Quarter?
Yep.
Yeah.
So
she's there when I go to, if I get to go to New Orleans.
Kevin, if you'll take me down there with you, you can drive so I can drink.
Everywhere I go, he got to tag along, drink, get drugged up, all this.
We're gonna all get together and go down there next year.
You're talking about spirits, you got
that kind of spirits.
Now, okay, so the same question to Catherine. She has these, I don't know what you call it, but something will come to her and she'll say, "Ooh, there's going to be an airplane crash." Mm-hmm. Those come to you without any forethought. You're not going along thinking, what can I think of disaster that's going to happen?
Yes, they just kind of come to me. My mom was going to Texas, and she was flying out there, and I kind of felt uncomfortable with her going. And it just suddenly came to me, there was a military plane that crashed. Well, the day that she was to come home, a military plane crashed, but it had been turned into a private plane, but it was still a military plane. And it just, I sometimes don't get all the details, but sometimes I'll get very fine details in whatever happens. But felt very uncomfortable with my mom flying that weekend.
Yeah, I bet. So, Caitlin, when you have people come to you and they want to, it's like, hey, Caitlin, my grandfather died like 20 years ago, and I sure miss him. Do you think you can summon him up? I mean, how does that work?
Sorry, when I hear the word summon, it makes me think of like supernatural and.
Do you have a ritual?
But
I think Casper.
Yeah, but more often I get people that are like, this person has been gone a while and I just want to talk to him. Like, I just want to say hi. Like, are they there? Can you reach them? And a lot of times when it's something like that, they're really short conversations. It's just like a little closure. Like, they didn't get to say goodbye. So they just want a little, like, are they okay? Are they happy? And especially if they are happy and they're passed on, it's really short because you are bringing them back from that happy. And so it's like super short to the point, like, but yeah, typically it's more, I just want to talk to them type of thing.
Yeah. So have you heard of a psychomantium?
No.
Anybody? Psychomantium? I know Kevin has, and I know Catherine has. So Dr. Raymond Moody, I won't go into real deep with it, but he took an interest in these. In fact, he's the one that coined the term near-death experience, NDE. Back in the 70s, he wrote a book and coined the term near-death experience. He lives right over here in Anniston, Alabama, by the way. He's older and retired now. But he liked to deal with going back into Greek mythology and so forth. He discovered that back in those days, thousands of years ago, they did what a necromantium, which basically was down underwater, like in a cave, not underwater, but in a cave. And there would be a very still body of water. And they would focus on that still body of water, not looking directly into it, but in that moment of quiet and so forth, whoever they were thinking about that had deceased would appear to them through that body of water, if you know what I'm saying. So he brought that up to the 20th century with a psychomantium, where you sit in front of a mirror. It's kind of like mirror scrying, which you probably have heard of, except in an enclosed environment. We built a portable one, by the way, and you're sitting and you've got maybe headphones on, so it's very quiet, some white noise or whatever. And that's with a person that the way he teaches it, if you want to talk to Uncle Bob, who passed away 15 years ago, then before you go into the psychomantium, you should be thinking about Uncle Bob and maybe even having a memento from Uncle Bob, his picture or something to focus on before you go in there. So you're setting yourself up for this connection. He does it for grieving people, if you know what I'm saying, and for healing purposes. And he was pretty successful with it. But now, Lindsay, with angels, do they just come to you? Do you have to just back off and out of the clear blue they pop in, or do you? And I know she's gonna laugh at me saying summon the angels, but it's like, oh, angel, I want to talk to you, or do you just sit back and they come to you?
A little of both. They pop in rather randomly. I also have had dreams where they come and talk to me. I have also, so it's not like a big summoning thing with angels from my experience. I will respectfully call them in a situation, like calling Archangel Michael to protect a person or a situation, a house or something like that. Basically, they'll come if you're respectful. It doesn't have to be a big ritual like other deities that I work with. They want ritual, Jared's probably going to understand, like you have Odin. Odin expects things. Like there's a level of pomp and circumstance that Odin freaking expects, or else he's not going to show up.
We keep talking about Odin. Jared, do you know what the day Friday was named for?
Sorry, my daughter was talking to me. What was the question again?
Do you know what the day Friday was named for?
I've actually heard two versions of that. I've heard that it's for Frigga, which was Odin's wife. But I've also heard that it's in reference to Freya as well, which was one of the Vanir that was created to end one of the wars.
Go any further.
Yeah. Well, there's also a rumor that Freya and Frigga may have actually been the same goddess. There's some talk of that in the food chain, if you will. Yeah. So it's an interesting
thought. That just popped in my head because you kept referring to Odin with the runes and whatnot. Like, yeah. So, okay.
It's Tears Day though, isn't it? Right?
What?
It's today. So I think it's Tears Day today though.
Yeah. Madam Z, we haven't given you much opportunity to talk about what you do. Are you going to give a presentation?
Yeah, I'm gonna do a presentation. I haven't decided yet. I can't decide if I want to do some spirit work or some tarot stuff or Ouija stuff. I hadn't decided yet. And then I'm gonna do the closing
I'll
ceremony.
do the
also.
Ouija stuff.
The Ouija stuff?
Yes.
Me too.
I'm over here wanting to give you a hard time. Like, you're making all of us pick what we're doing, and you haven't picked what you. Example.
You know, she's been treating me like I've got nothing else in life to do but tend to her needs.
That's how I like it.
No,
Message
he
me.
doesn't do that. Have you done that ritual yet? I was painting my house, Susie.
I know. Caitlin and Lindsay they're both in my Witchy Academy, so they're students of mine. So I give them a hard time, especially since it's October. I'm like, you have this to do, this to do, this to do, this to do, and they're like, you do know I have another life and a family, right? I'm like, not in October, you don't.
The veil is the thinnest, guys. We have to focus on the other world right now.
Correct.
The other world's focused
We're
on.
gotta be better than this one right now, anyway. So
Yeah.
So-
I saw the ghost in my new house, Susie.
The what?
I saw the ghost.
What ghost? Where?
Do you remember I told you that the new house that I'm remodeling?
Oh yeah.
There was
the
a
new
rumor
house.
that it was haunted, and I'm like, meh, we'll see. No, it is. He's scared. the shit out of me.
You gotta be more specific, Lindsay, when you say I've seen the ghost. You're all,
wow. So all you guys, well, I know Ellen's gonna have her, I guess, kind of a catalog of stuff that you can order from her booth while she's there, and you're gonna be there all 3 days. What do you got there, Z?
this is some of Ellen's stuff. So in the gathering, I call it the gathering, which I shouldn't call it the gathering because isn't gathering a game or something? I don't know. So the loot box goes to the VIP people who gets VIP ticket holders. All kind of stuff in here. So Ellen putting some stuff in there. So you get some cool stuff from Ellen. And Lindsay's going to put something in there. Caitlin's going to put something in there. And then Jared is putting something in there too.
Okay, Kevin,
Uh-huh.
those are for the VIP tickets.
VIP ticket holders only.
Kevin, do you think that we could donate a book for these boxes?
Yeah, I guess we could.
And personally autograph? Or
Yeah.
better, I'm going over to his house next week because we got to do that little promo video for you.
Yeah.
And so what we'll do is we will do some 8x10 glossy autographed pictures you can put in there.
I do have pictures.
You know, I didn't ask this question. I want to start, Jerry. I know where Kevin's in Alabama over there, and so's Catherine. So am I. Jared, where are you on this planet? Can you hear me, Jared?
Sorry, what was the question? I got my little one who's here distracting me.
I know where Madam Z is. Where are you from? Where are you coming to us from?
I'm up here in Bloomington, Indiana.
Indiana. Okay.
Yeah.
And Caitlin, what planet are you on?
My own. I'm in Wyoming.
Wow. Okay. And Lindsay, what about you?
I am in southern Idaho.
Idaho. And then Ellen.
Well, I am I'm just north of Austin, Texas right now, but I am originally from Alabama.
What part?
Mobile.
L.A.
That's right.
In Alabama, when they say
That's right.
L.A., that's not California. It's lower Alabama.
Yeah, right. And Gulf Shores is LA,
That's
it's the
for those of
Riviera.
us who are here that don't want to admit we're from here.
Mhm.
Oh my goodness, we got people all across the country here. That's fantastic.
Yep.
So
And this is just a couple of them. We've got 13 plus presenters and workshops. and stuff.
I got that page opened up here, Z, on my computer. So I was looking at that, and you got a full roster.
Yeah, we're full. We can't take on any more speakers. We're full.
We still got 45 minutes, but I do want to take a moment and thank all of you guys for joining us. And you can take this, will be archived on our Abnormal Alabama Facebook page, as also we're simulcasting this on Abnormal Alabama on YouTube. So feel free to share this however you want to. The whole purpose of doing this way tonight was to give people an idea of what they can look for in November at the event. So I just thought it would be a neat idea. So, hey, that's Caitlin. I want to make sure I listen to her because I've got a dead person I want to communicate with. I've got to see her because
I'm hanging out in my backyard, you know.
well, it is Halloween. So.
It
But,
is.
You know, kind of an introduction for you guys. And I've really enjoyed you guys being here. It beats me just talking to Kevin all night.
He would be talking, and every couple of seconds I might get maybe a couple of seconds during the 2 hours I can talk, but
I can't help it. You're so quiet.
I can't help but be quiet. Even when I am talking, you'll pop up and interrupt. And
So Kevin, talk. We're going to talk about paranormal research and people that, you know, some ideas on it, as much as we can fit into 45 minutes, because believe it or not, between the two of us, we could fill up a whole night talking with no problem, even though he acts like he's quiet. He's not. But Kevin, so talk a little bit about what our presentation is going to be about on the paranormal.
well, it's how to get started with paranormal investigating without busting open your wallet and or purse. And basically, when I started out in 2003, all I had was a little regular camera to take pictures and a little voice recorder to record with, which I bought at Best Buy. So I was really ghost hunting on a budget. And as time went on, I was able to afford more things. I gradually added things, but there's so many things you can use out there. Of course, the best example, I've shown this before, I'll show it again. And it's so basic, and people didn't really realize this can be used as a very handy paranormal tool. And it is a cat toy, a little cat ball. Well, there it goes. It's working now. See? This thing will only go off when it's touched. And cats love them because when they bat them around their paws, it lights up and it gets them excited. Well, we found out in our investigations, these are great little tools for spirits to play with, especially a child spirit. We just set it in the middle of the floor. Don't touch it, don't move, don't vibrate to set it off. See, little movements can set it off. And we ask questions. We might ask if they'll play with it, and sometimes we get it to light up. And sometimes we have them answer yes or no questions with these. Just kind of like the flashlight. And speaking of that, that's another tool. These you can get 3 in a pack for $6 on Amazon. We got these little touch flashlights. Some people like to use a small flashlight and kind of unscrew the head of it just enough so you can have the spirit work with it and answer yes or no questions by turning it on and off. Well, I've gone up a little better. This is a flashlight that only goes off when you touch the bottom. And we've had some, and it's so much easier for the spirit to just come up and touch it, We've had this go off a few times. You can get these cheap online. And you watch these ghost shows like Zach's Ghost Adventures, Ghost Hunter, or some of the others. They got these fancy dancy computer things, and you can spend thousands. Probably the most expensive thing I got, and most advanced thing I've got, is just the spirit box, which is the S-Box. Now they've got some out there, 100, 200, 300 fancy doctored up buttons all over. I couldn't tell you how to work it. Just get this thing. It's only 49 bucks. And for $49, you got something that not only does it scan channels, but this with SD card records the actual transmission. So if something's captured, you've got a recording on here. And if you get tired of your investigation, want to play some music, it's got Bluetooth. You can rock out the rest of the night. So, there's ways you can do it on a budget without all the razzle dazzle stuff. I don't want to put down there is some equipment out there that's blown me away, but I'm sorry I don't have $3,000 and $4,000 to bank to blow on it. And the truth is, you don't have to. There's so many other creative ways you can do it on a budget.
Well, and it's interesting, you talk about all these things, but we've got Caitlin down here who talks to dead people. And when you're doing ghost hunting, you're trying to talk to dead people. Caitlin, do you, outside of what's right here, do you use any devices, or is it just your mind?
No, I use Ouija boards, pendulums, tarot.
Okay.
I haven't done like the ghost hunting things because the way I see it is when I'm trying to communicate, these are spirits that are actually past, and ghost hunting are the spirits that are still here.
Now, what about divining rods?
I want to use those, but I don't have any.
We'll use those. Those were cheap too.
Go get it. I just bought her some divining rods.
Is anybody doing any paranormal investigating?
I'm sorry, Z?
Is anybody doing any paranormal investigating this month?
Not lately with the COVID crap going on.
There's so much shut down right now. There are some of these Halloween haunted houses that are open, but they're limited capacity. I mean, everything's really at a different level. In Alabama, I don't know how it is where you guys are, but we've had a lot of schools closed down because so many kids got tested positive with COVID-19. My concern is that as we get into November, December, I'm afraid we're going to end up in another lockdown, major lockdown across the country. The way this
My team and I have been doing investigations in the graveyard, and there's no one there.
Well,
the best time to do.
There is someone there. They're just not.
Right.
We've done. If you go on my YouTube, Abnormal Alabama on YouTube, I have hit zillions of graveyards. Speaking of getting into the paranormal ghost hunting thing inexpensively, anybody that does this kind of stuff, even people that look for Bigfoot, like these thermal imaging cameras. And there's this company called Seek, SEEK, that came out with one that just plugs into your cell phone. And it does awesome. It's amazing. And it's very inexpensive. So you don't have to spend thousands of dollars for one of these tools. I'm going to have that with me when we're talking as well. But
I think it's going to be good. People are really interested in it's the same thing that nobody has thousands of dollars to spend on getting equipment.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. So
I don't. I mean, I don't use a whole bunch of expensive equipment when I do paranormal stuff.
Well, I didn't figure Caitlin did either. I like the old school way that Caitlin. It's like, unlike Kevin, I'm not afraid of the Ouija board. To me, this is the portal right here. You can open up any negative right here. You don't need anything. If I can use this as my tool. I can lay it there. It's just like he uses the cat ball. Any of these devices, because in reality, if a used car salesman can con you, don't you think a spirit can con you? From a Christian viewpoint, there's even a scripture that talks about demons presenting themselves as angels of light. So I think you got to be cautious no matter what tools you're using, And then you've got probably like Caitlin, you have to use a lot of your gut with this too, to make sure you're actually talking to who you
Mhm.
claim you're talking to. Is that right?
Mhm. I mean,
Do you-
a few times I've had them like I'm like I don't know how to tell if this is really them because they gave me a name, but then they'll say a phrase that clicks in the client, and they're like, "That's them." Like that's what they always said to me, things like that.
Yeah. So I'm sure all of you had this experience. Let's say you go into some social event and there's people there that you don't know. There's some you do know. And immediately you walk in and you feel uncomfortable. Something makes you feel like, ooh, I don't need to be here. Have you had that happen? Just immediately, and you can't define it?
Mhm.
Is it that same way when you're dealing with a spirit or an angel? Do you get that same feeling like, ooh, I shouldn't be dealing with this?
I do. I get that they don't want me here, I'm not supposed to be here, or this is bad. Just put it simply. So, and at that point, you close it down. You say, okay, we're done here. I'm closing this, and then you cleanse the shit out of everything.
I know. I mean, there's been times in my life I've just had somebody introduce me to somebody. Oh, hey, come over here and meet Bob. And I walk up and it's like, I don't know anything about this person, but I don't like them. Good to meet you. Bye.
I
Yeah.
feel like I'm that person of questionable sanity who, as soon as I meet someone I get bad vibes from, I'm like, nope, I'm out. No. Oh, they really wanted to get to know you better. I'm like, don't care. I'm out.
Yeah.
I'll like meet some unpleasant spirit and I'm kind of a doofus. I'll stay there. I've been on some interesting paranormal investigations, and I find the like nastiest ghost in the place, and I'm like, okay, cool, we're gonna go investigate that while everyone else is running away. And I'm
So
like,
speaking of the negative of all this that we all can feel, now I will say this: Kevin has this very peaceful, healing thing about him, that where he's gotten haunted items with the attachment, and no matter how negative or ugly, he's got this ability to calm it down and change them, which is really phenomenal. And he don't talk about that a whole lot, but you've had some experiences, haven't you, Kevin, when you got a doll that was like this thing about him, it caused some problems.
Well, I mean, I had to flat out bless them with holy water and prayer and all that because it didn't matter who I was. This is their way or the highway. So I had no choice but to seal them up. But yeah, the majority of them, and usually that's something demonic, but angry spirits and bitter spirits seem to cheer up. I've had some that people have said, well, I don't know, you should take this doll. I think it might be like a girl spirit that doesn't like guys. They had a bad experience with a guy before, but then I get them and they're just, after a while, they kind of come out of their shell and start reacting to me. And yeah, I've seen some that other people, dolls people send me to say, this was really acting up in my house and causing problems, and it gets here, and it may do that for a little while here, and then just kind of calms down and goes quiet. I think it knows when it does it around me. What scares those people may not scare me. Like I'm not going to jump every time I hear a thump on the wall or, a door shut over here next to me or whatever. That's interesting and fun, but I don't jump like I used to when I started out in this business. So I guess they figure out, yeah, he's not as easy to scare. And meanwhile, I'm sitting there watching the scariest movies you've ever known. They're like, yeah, he ain't gonna be scared easily, so he might as well give up the ghost. No pun intended. So they calm down, and it's not to say they get bored and go away. I've got so many of them here; they've made their own family, spirit family here.
Just so you know, he's got over 300 in his house.
Yeah, it's not just dolls. There's haunted paintings. I've got a haunted doll house over here, big house. Here, I can show it to y'all. Right over there is a haunted doll house that came from a local store. And I actually got some spirit box responses from that thing. Got a good 20-minute video out there on YouTube with some good activity and spirit box responses from the man who built this thing. He supposedly haunts it, and he was a little bit of a prankster. In the doll store I bought it from, the lady said they would come in and find price tags missing, off the dolls, and it didn't happen before that house came in. And she would put stickers back on, and then the next morning come in, the stickers had disappeared again, and they couldn't figure out what was going on. And since I took the house from her, she doesn't have that experience anymore. I think he was trying to get somebody's attention and say, hey, I'm here. I'm with this thing. But with me, he hasn't caused any problems. He's a perfect gentleman. Every once in a while, I might find something missing, but I get real stern about it, and it tends to show up later. But other than that, that's another thing. I've had some that are pranksters that when they get here, they might act up a little while at first, and they kind of quieten down. And I've had living people tell me I've got a soothing quality about me when they're around me. So I guess spirits get that as well.
So
I don't see it, but everybody else does.
he perpetrates a good fraud.
Hey, I'll leave that up to you over there.
I'm going to bring Ellen back in this conversation here. Ellen, you're
sorry to interrupt, but I got to bow out. So
okay.
It was great
Jared.
meeting you. Yeah, it was great meeting
Well,
everyone. I look forward to spending some time.
Good night.
So,
Good night, Jared's kid.
have a good night.
You better
Say good night.
Jared, you better get a lot of room.
Say good night, Penelope.
Good night. Bye.
Will do. Good night, guys.
Good night. So, Ellen, you're dealing with these aromas, these soaps, in a very physical sense. You're talking about cleansing, but also I get the feeling that you're talking about in a spiritual sense as well.
Right.
You're using these products to cleanse. So,
Right.
like Kevin speaks of using holy water, and I also keep holy water sitting around. I've got sage. Different things seem to work for different people based upon what their background and beliefs are. Will your products help to cleanse like a house or rid a negative energy from a situation? How does that work?
Well, I do, and I make intentional soaps with different properties. I make ritual cleansing soaps with rosemary and sage and Palo Santo essential oils. And it's all about intent when you're working with something that I make. I put the magic in there that you just have to bring the intention, So when you're cleansing, you just have the intent that you're cleansing away all negative energy, that you're washing away the negative energy, that it's, flowing away with the water's taking it away. And it's also with, I make prosperity soaps with crystals. I use crystals in my soaps and in my products. And so I also use moon water, full moon water, dark moon water, new moon water, things like that to add a special intention to the products also.
Okay.
So I use the moon magic as well.
Now, so you do just like somebody would use sage or holy water. You can with them the same process. Lindsay, on your angels, I didn't ask you this before, but it just popped in my head. Do you run across, when you speak of angels, I'm sure there's good and there's bad angels. We call them commonly demons. Do you ever interact with a demon, what we would call a very not a good angel?
Yes.
Okay.
To be honest, I've had some intensely traumatic experiences in my teen years of communicating with things who I thought were angels and turned out to be extremely malevolent spirits. And I'll be honest, that was one thing that really drove me away from the church was I could not get assistance. I could not get answers. They basically told me go home, pray harder, and quit being a bad person. And so I would say I don't call them angels if they're bad. I try to delineate. I also think that there is a wider range, like demons. You say demon. And coming from a Christian standpoint, that is literally anything. For some Christians, that is anything that is not God or Jesus themselves. I have gotten little hate messages on Facebook from people like, quit encouraging people to talk to angels. Demons disguise themselves as angels. And I'm like, sit down. Just sit down. And so, yes, there's angels, and there are things that masquerade as angels. And kind of like what Caitlin was saying, and I'm sure, Madam Z talks about regularly, is you have to set these boundaries. You have to have some discernment. I like to think very good at knowing who I was talking to because they come with a completely different energy. So unfortunately, I kind of had to learn the hard way. Like, if there's any hesitancy, if there's any, like, I'm not sure I trust this, I'm not sure this is the right energy, just walk away from it, no matter how convincing they are. But again, like, I had no one to turn to be honest. I had no one to look at me as a teenager and say, you have to set those boundaries. You have to be willing to be like, if you are not here for my highest good, GTFO.
Well, the good news is, Lindsay, it sounds like now you have become that person to go to.
Yeah, which is kind of what Susie's been like. And you're not teaching people about this. Why?
Well, that's the point, because you recognize that void in your life, and the universe has set you up for this. This was not by your choice. This is it's going to happen.
Yeah.
Now, the door's there. You're not forced into it, but I think that you're in the right place. I think Madam Z would probably agree with me on that, because you, of all people, recognize how you needed somebody at that point in time in your life, and there was nobody there. So you've got a position where you can have empathy with those other teenagers out there and say, hey, Mama Rainwater is here to help you.
Yeah. And like the traumatic experiences, the fact that I've actually only talked to a few people about them, because even to me, recounting them, it sounds crazy. Just some of the bizarre things, but I have actually opened up to a couple people about them and had other people say, oh my God, I had the same thing happen and I've never told anyone because I thought people would think I was crazy. So experiencing other people having the same thing happen, when you're like, I wouldn't wish that on anybody, but it does happen and nobody wants to talk about it. And so it's kind of something Caitlin said, that I think a lot of people right now are in this state of extreme introspection because we've got nothing, we can't go out and distract ourselves constantly. So we have to actually step back and be like, man, there's some weird stuff in my life. I should probably look into that.
Well, and this is the problem where we are in the 21st century and most of the 20th centuries. We got so much of this ambient light and noise going on around us constantly. We have all this energy from cell phones, Wi-Fi, all this. I think we miss a whole lot because we never take that time to shut it off and turn up the silence and connect. I think that more of us would realize that we've all got these abilities. Some of us have to maybe pull at it a little bit harder than others. But I think, it's like turn all the garbage off. Turn your cell phone off, get away from everything, and just listen. I think it's a healing process too, in my opinion, when you connect like that. Whether you hear anything or not, I think just by doing that, you're connected with the universe, and it's a healing, it's a regrounding, if that's a way to put it.
I think that's why, maybe it's just something I'm noticing and maybe I've been missing a bit, but it seems like there's this huge resurgence in interest in camping and retreats, which kind of
Mhm.
sucks because we can't do that right now. But yeah, there's
Yeah.
a lot of people taking up camping or investing in float tanks and things like that because we're so desperate for that space.
Well, we go back, and I don't clarify something. When I speak of the people that originally inhabited this land, I do not say Native American, nor do I say Indian, because they were not Indians and there was no America. I call them the indigenous people on this land. And if we learned from them, they recognized everything as having a spirit. They connected with the plant. If they had to kill an animal before they would eat it, they would give thanks for that animal sacrificing its life for them, even if it was for clothing or something. And I think this is all this, what we're talking about here, I think is what's cluttered up our lives. And I think that's why you said right now people are hungry for something. It's just like you mentioned before, people are running from the church because they don't feel like, y'all may not be old enough to remember the old Wendy's commercial where the little old ladies opened up the bun and said, "Where's the beef?" And a lot of people are walking away and saying, "Well, where's the beef? Where's the meat here?" And so they're seeking, and a spiritual journey is what it is, really, and you find your own path. Gosh, this time has gone by real good. I really appreciate y'all joining us. Even though Kevin thinks I do all the talking, y'all have done. Do y'all feel slighted with my? Ignore Kevin. Do y'all feel slighted that you not get to talking?
We all got to talk a little while. Thank you. Although you talk a little more than the rest of us.
I was about to say Catherine might have
Definitely
something
does.
about it.
So let's turn our attention down there to her with, did you find the divining rods?
They're in the car.
You got your seven. Oh,
I do not.
didn't even bring them
They're
in
still in the
okay.
car.
All
I
right.
didn't get them out. I was saving them for a special day.
Your internet's acting silly because your
Can you not
voice
hear
is way
me?
behind your lips. She's
No,
a
I'm throwing my
ventriloquist.
voice.
Oh my goodness.
I'm
I think we
talking
have a
and I'm
poltergeist
moving
in the room.
my lips.
We've got a little bit more time here, and I want to turn it over to Madam Z, since she is the event organizer. This was her idea, and she has worked diligently to put all this together. So,
Crazy idea. Why did I even think of doing this?
talk to us about what's going to happen on November 6th, 7th, and 8th, and tell people what they can look forward to besides looking at our pretty faces.
So 6th, 7th, and 8th, we're having a massive online event called the Witches Gathering event. And it's November 6th through the 8th. And there'll be 3 days of speakers, occultists, palmistry stuff, paranormal, hoodoo, voodoo. The VIP people, we have 2 ticket levels. Actually, we have 3. I just added a day pass today. So if you guys can't hang out the entire 3 days, because I know you guys are super busy, you can get just a day pass. But if you want to get everything, you probably need to get the VIP pass. And that has all the recordings, access to all the speakers. And you get a VIP loot box, which we talked about, mailed to your door, full of all kinds of witchy goody stuff. And then you get a private seance with Bloody Mary. And then also you get to hang out with us privately, just like this, at night. And those are for the VIP tickets. We have well-known speakers that you have never, ever going to be able to go see unless you spend thousands of dollars to go see. They are well-versed in their craft. They are very well-known on the subjects of voodoo and hoodoo, paranormal. We just added a vampire person who's going to talk about vampire magic. Lilith Dorsey's going to be there. We're going to have speakers on dark goddesses, like working with Lilith in glamour magic. So we're going to have guest speakers. We're going to have DJs. We're going to have costume parties. We're going to have prizes, Hex Fest. Hex Fest from Christian Day. Donate $250 worth of raffle tickets that you can use, that you can actually win. We're going to have prizes and raffles, and every speaker just about is giving us a prize in the raffle. So you have a chance to party, costume contest, hanging out with people just like this, so you can make really good friends, lifetime friends. And then you get to hang out and learn from all of the expertise in your occult studies, your witch studies. We're going to have opening ceremonies, closing ceremonies. Kelsey and you guys are going to do your paranormal stuff, right? Kelsey and Kevin. Caitlin's going to be there as a vendor. Ellen's going to be there as a vendor. Lindsay's going to be there as a vendor and also doing a workshop. So anything you want to learn about spirit communication, Samhain, Halloween, spirits, ghosts, everything is going to be there in one place. So you really don't have to go anywhere. You just, put on your witchy costume, hang out in the living room, and we'll bring the magic to you.
There you go.
You get a fully immersive into your magic. Now, a lot of people are just really bummed out about this COVID, and I just got a text from my friend. It was like, today really pissed me off, and it hit me that I could not do anything for Halloween or Samhain or anything. Yeah, and she's like, it just hit me today. And I'm like, yeah, I'm pretty pissed about it myself. So this is a chance for you to bring your Halloween, your Samhain, your witchiness, your, deepen your practice. So you're not feeling disconnected from, the veil or, the thinning of the veil or your spirit communications. So this is going to really vamp up your practice and really get to know some of your famous speakers that you've seen out there. We're bringing a lot of people in from New Orleans, famous people from New Orleans. So super excited about that. The VIP tickets are on sale for $97. Those are limited because we only have 50 loot boxes. So the tickets are very limited on that because we have to have enough time to get those mailed to you. So that's going to be cut off soon also. So you can get your VIP tickets or you can get your seeker level. I think it's $47 now. And then your one-day ticket is $35. So all of the speakers, all of the vendors, everything that you need to know is going to be listed on the website.
So where do you get these tickets? How do you get them?
On the website. And I can drop the website link in there.
What's the website?
Witchesgathering.com, but hold on, I'll get you a link. I'll get you the bit.ly link, which is a lot easier.
So what, how does this work? You're online. Do you come in, you got to enter a ticket number to be able to get in the door?
You will be registered as soon as you hit that checkout button, as soon as you pick a ticket. And then my team members will let you in. And you get the Zoom link and you're good to go.
Okay. All right. I got you.
So we do have a gatekeeper.
A gatekeeper. That sounds like a
password to enter into the magical realm of Madam Z's.
Madam Z's. Caitlin, Ellen, Lindsay, Kevin, any of you guys got anything else you want to add to the mix? We got about 10 minutes here, and you are more than welcome to share. What do you got to share?
MyHauntedDolls.com. 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 Buy books.
We do promote our books. Here's MyHauntedDolls.com. I'm promoting my book, which is DatingTheDead.com. That's the book for Caitlin right there. Go to datingthedead.com and you'll find all about that book. If you buy it from me personally instead of off Amazon, I'll autograph it for you. I put a
Well, how do I do that? Because the website just has.
I
the
know, but you
Amazon
just have to
link.
email me. You
Okay. Done deal.
and I will personally autograph it, and Kevin will do the same thing with his My Haunted Dolls. He's got a lot of my books are not dealing with the paranormal. I do a lot of couples counseling and that kind of stuff. So a lot of mine are relationship books and that sort of stuff. And that's why I can't keep a good relationship, because I'm always focused on somebody else's. But anyway, I took, I was like this girl right here. I was brought up in a very, very Christian environment. My dad put me on the pulpit when I was like 6, 7 years old. And I grew up in all things Bible. And I had a lot of questions. And for some reason, they didn't like my questions. But the bottom line is that I had a lengthy spiritual journey because these questions plagued me. And it's like, well, and I grew up in a type of Christianity that we were about angels. We told stories about angels intervening in people's lives to save them from this or that. And we also were into demons. We didn't believe in ghosts. We thought that any evil or any other entities that weren't what we call angels were on the demon side of things. So we really believed that dead people were out haunting us, if you know what I'm saying. Unfortunately for my dad, my mother's mother was a very more liberal minded person. And I enjoyed spending a lot of weekends with her because she'd let me sit up and watch the old Frankenstein and Dracula movies.
Mm-hmm.
And she loved Halloween. And so I've been a Halloween addict ever since. And then ghost hunting. When I was a kid, there was no such thing that I knew of ghost hunters, paranormal research. It was just like, house is haunted. Oh, really? You know, that was it. We didn't have spirit boxes and EVPs and all this stuff. We just heard noises and scared each other. And I always had a curiosity. I mean, I was one of those like with UFOs. It's like, you know, hey, I'll stand out in the middle of the field, beam me up, you know. Show me something.
Now, Norton, let me tell you how I got over this. I'm not actually going to have Halloween this year. Every day I either wear ghost socks, Ghostbuster socks, Nightmare Before Christmas. I have a ghost dress. Today I wore skull pants, and tomorrow I'm wearing a pair of pumpkin pants. So every day of this month I'm wearing something Halloween. Therefore, I get to dress up 31 days.
I put up my first Halloween decoration today, so I'm going to show you a picture of it right here.
That's one of Kevin's haunted dolls.
No, that's not. I went to a thrift store and they had 2 of those. And I've got one at my front porch, and I've got that one at the mailbox out front. Now, what I'm excited about is in our neighborhood here, we have a local police officer that works at night. And every morning when he gets off work, he cruises these streets. And I'm not trying to be cruel, but cops cannot be the smartest people on the planet sometimes. So I'm waiting for him to be inspecting this little child that's on my.
You're gonna pull it over.
If it's a
Put
local
your hands behind your back.
radio, and it may hit the local papers tomorrow. So, but you know, guys, we can have fun with this regardless.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
We don't have to, you know. I mean, we can do a special Halloween event like right here, and we can all wear. We can have a costume contest right here, whatever. So don't let this take our fun away, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can dress up right now. I got a very quick costume.
Oh no.
I can look instant Ernest Hemingway.
Wonderful.
I need
So-
the beer bottle too.
The only thing is, trying to get candy from each other is going to be a little difficult, but you're going to have to get your own candy this year. Kate might have a bottle of wine or champagne for us. I don't know.
Always.
Always. But guys, it's been very much a pleasure. Thank you all for donating your 2 hours of time and letting us know what to expect from you guys. I hope I see a lot more of you. You've all got very interesting subjects to cover. We're all interested in talking to dead people. I've got bored with a living a long time ago, so I figure they've got more experience than we do anyway. So
Yeah.
maybe we can learn something. Angels, I guess we all need a guardian angel. So, yeah, a quick question there on the angels. Do you said something about guardian angel? Do you believe we all have guardian angels?
Yes.
So could some of us possibly have like a guardian demon instead?
I'm not going to rule that out. I'm not with some of the things I've seen and experienced. And I'm like, well, you got something next to you. Like, oh, I want to know my guardian angel's name. And I'm like, nope.
Yeah, Beelzebub.
Number one, that's not quite how I work. And number two, nope.
Do you say
It's looking at me and I don't like it. No, I do believe everyone has a guardian angel, but some people don't listen to them. Put it that way.
Can you see it over the internet?
Do us a favor, guys. If you haven't joined us on Facebook, Abnormal Alabama, join us. And then feel free to post about yourselves on that Facebook page. Okay? So shamelessly self-promote. And then also subscribe to our YouTube channel because we like subscribers. I do a lot of quirky video stuff. All these are also on our YouTube site as well. So if you're, and individually, I would like to have you guys individually on here and give you all 2 hours to talk about this stuff if you're interested in doing that.
I have a question.
Uh-oh.
Question.
Yeah.
Are you born with your guardian angel, or does your guardian angel come later?
My experience is that you are born with them.
Mm-hmm.
I think they are not necessarily permanent.
Mm-hmm.
Example, I have one that, like I said, I'm pretty sure that was like, I legit just busted up laughing one day when it hit me. And I'm like, you, who in my dreams comes to me is like this 6'6", like roided out dude, were masquerading as a little girl with pigtails.
Oh, gosh.
And he's like, there's almost, they don't quite emote like we do, but there was a bit like, oh, we're going to talk about this now. Okay. And he's been there constantly. He has been a constant. And there's been a couple others that I can't tell if they've fulfilled their purpose and so they go to do something else and a new one comes in, or if they just take a big step back. I'm not sure. And one of the reasons why I am very confident that we are born with them is that one day, and when I say I see them, sometimes it's a visual thing, not as much as when I was a kid. But I perceive, like you see something in your mind's eye. And there was one day that I was really in it. I was in the zone. I was writing. And I know I've got 2 or 3 hanging around me all the time. And I turned around and very clearly perceived 7. And I was like, why are there 7 of you? I am so confused right now. And it hit me that I didn't recognize 3 of them. And I'm like, who are you, you and you? Who? I don't know you guys. Who are you? And obviously with my traumatic experiences, as soon as someone new comes in, I'm like, prove yourself. And I get really aggressive. And I had a suspicion that the pregnancy test proved to be accurate about a week later.
Okay.
Yeah.
So real quick, a roundup here. Thank you all again for joining us. If individually you would like to join us for the 2 hours to be donated to talk about your subject, I'd love that, to have more conversations about your particular subjects. If you're interested in that, Madam Z is connected with me and she can hook us up. Okay. Yes, ma'am.
No, that would be awesome. I'd be interested.
I think that way I'd give each of you time to just talk about your subject. We've jumped around and this is the way I planned it. And I think it worked good, but now it makes me want to get to know individually you guys better.
Mm-hmm.
I think you all are very fascinating people and I like the subject. And like I said, people get tired of just Kevin and I talking to each other. But if you're interested in that, please just let Madam Z know. Go and join us on our Facebook page and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Share this video everywhere so that people can get an idea of who they're dealing with come November.
Yep. November 6th to the 8th.
Yep. So with that, we're going to call it a night. Thank you all very much. And again, this is going to be archived on YouTube, Abnormal Alabama, and it's archived on Facebook, Abnormal Alabama.